Well, Hugh Jackman has just spoken out, sort of, and he's 100% behind Blake and Ryan. We've got to get into the details.
Hugh Jackman is 100% on Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' side and can't wait to be deposed.
Hugh Jackman was always the quiet strength in the background, until now. As the lawsuits rage on, Jackman is no longer just a name on the sidelines. He's been formally listed as a key witness in the ongoing legal war between Justin Baldoni and the Reynolds-Lively power couple. And while he hasn't said a word to the media, his actions speak volumes. Court documents confirm he's preparing to testify. Not because he wants to, but because he has to. The truth he carries could change everything. Jackman spent years attached to Ryan Reynolds' public image, the laughing partner in their carefully staged feud, the loyal friend who always played along. But behind the jokes, something darker was happening.
He was also pressured to attend the It Ends With Us premiere, a movie he had nothing to do with, just to show support for Reynolds and Lively. And while this was happening, Baldoni was reportedly being kept in the basement and forced to arrive early to avoid interaction with the Reynolds-Lively.
Legal filings allege that Reynolds used his influence on It Ends With Us to silence dissent, manipulate dynamics, and destroy Baldoni's reputation from the inside. And Jackman? He was there. He saw it all. The most damning part? Jackman allegedly helped carry out some of it, whether he meant to or not. He attended press events. He promoted the film. He stood on stages next to Reynolds while private chaos unfolded off camera. In one documented moment, Jackman joined a media skit where Baldoni was subtly mocked. What seemed like harmless humor at the time is now being reviewed as coordinated humiliation, disguised as comedy. Now Jackman's silence is under fire. Legal experts are questioning why he hasn't stepped forward publicly to clarify what he knows.
And also, this is the most, divisive thing we've seen in a long time. You're either Team Justin or you're Team Blake. It's like the new, Team Jacob, Team Edward.
He hasn't defended Baldoni. He hasn't backed away from Lively and Reynolds. And that neutrality, in a case this explosive, feels more like quiet allegiance than moral clarity. But behind closed doors, the truth is clear. Jackman's loyalty runs deep. He's refused to comment to the press, but he's actively engaged with Reynolds' and Lively's legal teams, not as a neutral third party, but as someone defending their version of the truth. That decision is now backfiring. His silence has created a storm of suspicion, with many wondering if Jackman is shielding his friends or protecting himself from what he might have enabled. And still, public pressure builds. Fans who once saw Jackman as Hollywood's moral compass are turning. They want answers. They want him to speak. Because if he confirms even a fraction of what Baldoni's team is alleging about fake allegations, power plays, and media manipulation, he won't just bring down Blake and Ryan's case.
I am so oddly invested in this case. I follow so many TikTokers who have gone through 800 pages of case files. And listen, I'm not shocked by this latest conspiracy because she said herself her husband is all over this film.
He'll help expose a system where silence is currency and truth is optional. Jackman's upcoming deposition isn't just about loyalty. It's about survival. His own image is on the line now, tied to two people whose perfect Hollywood love story is quickly unraveling into one of the industry's biggest reputational disasters. And if he says the wrong thing under oath, or if the evidence he holds contradicts the narrative being pushed, this saga won't just end careers. It'll destroy legacies. Everything now hinges on Hugh Jackman's testimony. After months of silence, legal teams have confirmed he will be deposed. It's no longer a question of if, only when. And when that moment comes, the industry will be watching. Because what Jackman says under oath could tear down everything Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have spent years building. Their brand, their influence, their careers. For the first time in his spotless public life, Jackman is cornered. The image of the gentleman actor, the loyal friend, the grounded star, the Hollywood nice guy, is on the line. He's no longer just a beloved figure. He's a key witness in a $400 million war over truth and reputation.
For those who are not in the Hollywood world, what is wrong with her taking over the film?
I've never seen it before in my 30-plus year career in Hollywood.
And the pressure is crushing. Ryan Reynolds, once the carefree center of attention, has gone quiet. His usual jokes and social media antics have disappeared. Blake's team continues to push the emotional angle, painting her as a woman wronged. But every legal document that hits the docket tells a different story. and Jackman is now expected to confirm or contradict all of it. Inside the courtroom, lawyers are preparing to question him on very specific events. The production timeline of It Ends With Us, what he saw behind closed doors, how Blake interacted with Baldoni, and whether Reynolds used his influence to orchestrate a targeted smear. These aren't rumors. These are questions pulled directly from court documents, and every answer will be recorded. No edits, no rewrites, no PR spin. What's more damaging is that Jackman reportedly had access to internal conversations, group texts, direct messages, scheduling conflicts. He knew what was happening during the fallout between Blake and Baldoni, and how fast it escalated once legal threats were made.
This looks good for Baldoni, right? He's like, we want to make it all public. And sometimes lawyers can do this knowing that they can't actually do what they say they're going to do.
If even a portion of what Baldoni's team claims is true, Jackman's silence until now looks less like neutrality and more like quiet consent. And still, no one else has come forward. Not one cast member, not one producer. Blake Lively stands alone in her accusation, leaning on a narrative that grows weaker by the day. Without Jackman, her legal foundation is cracked. With him, and if he tells the truth, it could be shattered. This isn't just a celebrity feud anymore. It's a battle for control over perception, over legacy, over who walks away unscathed and who doesn't walk away at all. If Jackman's testimony aligns with Reynolds and Lively, it might buy them time. But if it even slightly supports Baldoni's version of events, the collapse will be immediate and irreversible. Because in Hollywood, it's not always about who tells the best story, it's about who gets believed. And Hugh Jackman, once the man no one ever questioned, is about to become the man everyone will be listening to. Hugh Jackman's divorce didn't just raise eyebrows.
Well, look, again, it's a work in progress. If I had figured it out, the world would look different.
It cracked open a side of Hollywood no one was ready to see. After 27 years of marriage to Deborah Lee Furness, Jackman announced their split with a short, polished statement. "We've decided to separate to pursue our individual growth," it read. But behind the smooth PR language, something much more personal and much more strategic was unfolding. The divorce wasn't just about love lost. It happened at the exact moment Jackman's closest friends, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, were preparing for a brutal legal battle, a battle involving sexual misconduct allegations, defamation, and a $400 million lawsuit. The timing was a red flag. Jackman had spent decades standing beside Reynolds. They weren't just co-stars, they were inseparable. Red carpets, social media pranks, business partnerships. Their public bromance had become part of their brands. But the moment Blake Lively filed her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, and Baldoni fired back with a countersuit exposing Ryan and Blake's alleged lies, Jackman disappeared, not just from Reynolds' side, but from the narrative altogether. Then, quietly, came the divorce.
Hugh Jackman and his wife are divorcing after 27 years of marriage. I really like Hugh Jackman, and he's always struck me as a nice guy. Compared to the demons running around Hollywood, he seems relatively normal and grounded and sort of nice, and he just all around seems like a decent fellow.
Hollywood noticed, fans noticed, and legal teams definitely noticed. Jackman wasn't just stepping away from his marriage, he was distancing himself from the Reynolds-Lively media machine. For years, people saw him as the loyal best friend, always playing along with Reynolds' jokes and scripted drama. But now, that friendship was under legal threat. Texts, emails, behind-the-scenes interactions. Anything Jackman knew could now be used as evidence. And his clean reputation made him the most credible voice in the room. The divorce marked more than the end of a relationship. It was the start of Jackman reclaiming control. No more smiling through awkward interviews. No more covering for Reynolds' spotlight-hogging antics. No more pretending the jokes were always mutual. This wasn't just a midlife reset, it was a calculated step out of the shadow of a toxic friendship, right before the truth was about to be dragged into court. And what Jackman says, or doesn't say next, could determine who falls and who survives. Blake Lively's case began with fire, but it's burning out fast. When she filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, the headlines exploded. Hollywood rallied. Social media swarmed with support.
He told us that Justin Baldoni claims she tried to take over his movie because she has a history of saying, okay, I'll be the star, but what I secretly want to do is direct it and edit it and produce it.
Blake was painted as the brave voice speaking out, and Ryan Reynolds stood by her side like the perfect husband. But then the cracks started to show, not in Baldoni's defense, in Blake's accusations. According to official court filings, Lively refused to meet with the certified intimacy coordinator hired for It Ends With Us, the film at the center of the legal chaos. This wasn't a small oversight. It was documented, and it raised immediate questions. If her allegations stemmed from rehearsals and on-set discomfort, why would she avoid the very person hired to protect her? Baldoni's legal team struck back hard. They submitted text messages, real time-stamped messages, that showed a very different dynamic between him and Blake. Professional, cordial, even friendly. And nowhere in those records was there any indication of harassment. The legal team also exposed that several of the scenes in question had been approved by producers and reviewed by legal advisors. Nothing matched her story. With every new filing, public opinion shifted. Twitter.
He and 9 other plaintiffs, including his publicists, have brought a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, essentially alleging them of libel and false light invasion of privacy.
Threads that once cheered Blake on turned skeptical. Comment sections filled with questions. People began to notice the silence, especially from other cast and crew members. No one was stepping forward to support Blake's version of events. No public statements, no backup testimonies, no defense outside her own legal circle. Even those close to the project quietly deleted posts referencing the film. And then there was Hugh Jackman. Once considered the couple's loyal friend, Jackman now sat on the fence. Publicly mute, but privately aligned with Lively and Reynolds. He had refused to speak to the press, avoided red carpets, and made no formal comment. But legal documents confirmed he was cooperating with lawyers, preparing for deposition, willing to testify. That silence, once seen as discretion, now looked like damage control. Jackman's loyalty to the couple didn't come with a statement, it came with courtroom strategy, supporting Blake not with truth, but with protection. And it's that silence, that unwillingness to say the full truth out loud, that has people asking, if the case is so strong, why are the facts so thin? What began as a clear-cut accusation has turned into a credibility war.
In Blake's first amended complaint, Blake changed what she alleges about what happened while filming the slow dance scene, now that the footage has been released for everyone to see.
And Blake's team is losing ground. Her legal arguments rely more on emotional storytelling than verified evidence. Her allies are vanishing. Her case is starting to look like an illusion, carefully crafted but collapsing under the weight of its own missing pieces. The courtroom may be where the verdict is written, but the court of public opinion is already turning the page. The illusion of Hollywood's golden couple is breaking, and Blake Lively can't stop the fall. Once hailed as the industry's most untouchable pair, Blake and Ryan built their empire on charm, family, and carefully curated perfection. But the courtroom has no filter for branding. And with every legal twist, their story slips further out of their control. What's left is a crumbling narrative held together by silence, loyalty, and a growing absence of evidence. At the heart of the case is Blake's accusation against Justin Baldoni, a claim that once commanded headlines but now struggles under its own weight. Court documents reveal a staggering lack of support. No co-stars have stepped forward. No crew members have corroborated her story. Even emails and internal production reports reviewed by lawyers show no signs of
The agency group PR LLC and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, we write to advise the court of an issue that the Wayfarer parties wish to address at the upcoming conference on Monday, February 3rd, 2025.
Without proof, the legal team is leaning on emotion, sympathy, reputation. But in a courtroom, feelings don't win lawsuits. Facts do. And Hugh Jackman, he's still quiet, still missing from the press, still choosing private conversations over public defense. But his involvement is impossible to ignore. Legal filings confirm he was present during key moments of the film's development, rehearsals, meetings, press events. He knew the dynamics between the cast. He watched the relationships evolve. And now, his sworn testimony could either save Blake's fragile case or destroy it completely. What makes Jackman's position even more delicate is the suspicion that he's been pulled into something bigger than friendship. His unwavering behind-the-scenes support for Blake and Ryan, despite mounting public doubt, suggests something more personal. A debt, a secret, a shared interest that goes deeper than loyalty.
This text from Blake Lively is insane. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play.
He knows too much, and he's stuck between the truth and the brand. Meanwhile, the public is catching on. Social media, once flooded with praise for Blake's bravery, has grown cold. Posts defending her are met with skepticism. Commenters demand proof. Headlines once echoing support now question everything. The phrase, "Where's the evidence?" trends more often than Blake's own name. The media storm is shifting, not toward justice, but toward exposure. Fans, journalists, even former collaborators want clarity. And Jackman, once the man everyone trusted, is now the wild card. His testimony could bring transparency or confirm what people are starting to believe, that this entire case is built on illusion, image management, and calculated silence. In this final stretch, the outcome no longer rests on who tells the better story, but on who has the receipts. Blake doesn't. Jackman might. And if he does, and he speaks honestly, Hollywood won't just watch a lawsuit unravel, it will watch its most carefully guarded image go up in flames.